All right. Good evening, everybody. My name is Cindy Harden. I'm pretty new to the team here, but I'm very excited to be here. I have the great honor of introducing Miss Niccole tonight. Some amazing things that I can say about her is she's a mom of 5 kids. I could literally stop right there and that would be enough. But no, there's more. She homeschools. She's been a doula and a midwife and apparently holds certifications for days upon days. But the coolest part is she specializes in women's health. I have had limited interaction with Niccole, but so far I think she's a super cool chick and I'm looking forward to get to know her more. And I really want to give her as much time as possible tonight. So I'm gonna pass it on over to Miss Niccole now.
Right on. Thank you so much, Cindy. So Cindy has literally been a part of our community, I think, for a week. And she totally got pulled in to welcome me on, which I love. So hey, get in where you fit in. Here we go, right? All right, so tonight, y'all, we'll have some people jump on a little bit. For the most part, I am talking about men and women's hormone balance and what that means for our sex life. So the whole point of tonight's call is not to be a shock jock or to be racy. It's truly about having a conversation that so few couples are willing to have. And this is the conversation about what's really going on with our hormones, what's really happening in our bedrooms. And I'm not going to call on anyone. I'm not going to put anyone on the spot who I haven't talked to before the call, so don't worry. But this is more about just opening up the conversation and letting you know that this conversation is okay to have. And if you do struggle with your hormones, if you struggle with intimacy, you're not alone, okay? So some facts that will really make you think. 26% of men under the age of 40 struggle with erectile dysfunction. I don't know about y'all, that was shocking when I heard that. Like, that is so young to be struggling. 33% of women over the age of 30 report little to no sex drive. 47% of women are currently experiencing hormonal imbalance. So it's like almost a 50% chance that if you are a woman and you're watching this video, that you have hormonal imbalance. All right, and then only 48% of married women want regular sex, meaning at least two times a week after their 4th year of marriage. Okay, so common causes of a sexless marriage. We're going to start like bigger picture, and then we're going to work our way down to hormones. Okay. Now, when I say sexless, different experts will say like what that means, but on average, it means a couple that's having sex less than 2 times per month. Some of the main causes of this is stress, unresolved conflict, erectile dysfunction, a mismatched sex drive, or depression and anxiety. Like, that is wild to hear. It's wild to think about. And a lot of those things a lot of those things are within our control. And I feel like so often we're like, oh yeah, this is the way that it is, but what am I going to do about it? After tonight's call, you'll have some tips on exactly what you can do about it. All right, so let's talk about hormonal imbalance. Let's talk about what leads to hormonal imbalance. So first up, women with hormonal imbalance may experience irregular menstrual cycles, insomnia, fatigue, depression, anxiety, I ran out of fingers, infertility, weight gain, difficulty losing weight, moodiness, cyclical headaches, night sweats, and breast tenderness. That's a whole lot going on. Doesn't mean you have to have all those things, but if you are like, man, I really identified with a few of those things, maybe dig around, do a little bit more research. I'll talk about some testing later. All right, now men with hormonal imbalance may experience weight gain, low sex drive, fatigue, swollen, puffy, or enlarged breasts, erectile dysfunction, water retention, hair loss, mood swings, and decreased muscle mass. All right, if you have hung out with me at all, if you have heard me teach at all, you know where I'm going right this second. The cause of hormonal imbalance There are 3 root causes of every disease, of every imbalance in the body on the planet. You get to the root issue and the body will begin to heal itself. The first root issue of hormonal imbalance in both men and women is toxicity. Hormonal imbalances can be caused by exposure to environmental toxins, and this absolutely interferes with the normal production of hormones, your metabolism, and the conversion and elimination of hormones in the body. Sources of these toxins include pollutants, pesticides, herbicides, preservatives in foods and cosmetics, and endocrine disrupting chemicals. The next root issue of hormonal imbalance is nutrition. So if you've heard me say it once, you will hear me say it 100 more times. You watch 100 of my videos, every time I will say this. What we put in our body absolutely matters. We cannot expect to put processed junk food into our bodies and expect our bodies to function the way that they were created to do. So processed foods, the junk foods that we eat, they are completely stripped of any nutrients, which leads to deficiencies and makes it harder for the body to regulate hormones. Eating processed foods also increases inflammation, which there's a direct connection between inflammation, blood sugar, and imbalanced hormones. Then you add in yo-yo dieting and extreme exercise. Ladies, sometimes both of those things are us, right? But a lot of times it's the yo-yo dieting. And for our dudes, they will hit the gym hard, maybe for a month or two, and they completely burn themselves out, become exhausted. And what happens is this yo-yo lifestyle leads to imbalanced hormone levels and imbalanced blood sugar. Okay, third root issue of hormone imbalance is trauma / unhealthy, undealt with emotions. So stress causes the body to produce more of the hormone cortisol, which leads to more cortisol in the bloodstream. And cortisol will always take precedent over all other hormones being made because we need this to survive. So our bodies will use all the nutrients to make cortisol because, again, it's essential for survival. So if we live in this heightened state of stress, literally nutrients, other hormones all come to the rescue, including insulin, come to the rescue of cortisol. And so when we have these high levels of stress, it absolutely leads to a decrease in the production of sex hormones, and it results in an imbalance between estrogen and testosterone. Okay, so let's talk about progesterone a little bit, because for the most part, we live in a very estrogen dominant society. The vast majority, it's like in the 90th percentile. The number fluctuates a teeny tiny bit depending on what year and what study has been done. But anywhere from 92 to 95% of Americans are now considered estrogen dominant. And I want to give an example of how stress affects our hormones. So progesterone is used by the body. When we are stressed, our bodies chew through progesterone, and men have progesterone as well. They need progesterone as well. But it does this to help regulate the stress response. And it literally activates the body's HPA axis, which controls our fight or flight response. Progesterone also helps reduce inflammation and cortisol. So when cortisol goes high, progesterone comes to the rescue. But if we don't get that under control, we literally end up depleted in these other hormones. So hopefully that makes sense and it's thinking. So tonight, talking about hormones, yes, toxicity, yes, nutrition, and then trauma. But we have to talk about a fourth thing tonight because it's real and it's natural and it's aging. So our hormones are obviously affected as we age, but this is not just about being pre or postmenopausal. So please listen up. Okay, so this isn't just like, oh, I've crossed menopause, so this is important. Like literally this talk needs to start happening now. It used to be mid-20s that women would start to see a decrease in hormones and end up with a lot of imbalanced hormones. We're seeing it younger and younger. Our daughters are starting their periods younger and younger. Like the average age of a young woman being diagnosed with PCOS, it used to be age 23, now it's age 17. 17. And again, there's the environmental toxins, there's the stress, there's the nutrition, right? But as we age, hormone production begins to really drop. After the age of 20 years old, human growth hormone significantly decreases. Muscle mass decreases. So testosterone levels tend to drop very, very, very quickly for men between the ages of 35 and 40, which leads to a decrease in muscle mass and in strength. And then for those of us who are ladies on the call, which is most of us, like I said, it used to be in our mid-20s that our bodies would produce hormones at lower levels. And now it's starting at the age of 17. More and more girls are being diagnosed with PCOS, hypothyroidism, and adrenal fatigue under the age of 20. And then there's menopause. Our primary female sex hormone estrogen starts to decline from our late 30s, which leads us right up into menopause. But the other thing that's affected is also progesterone levels. So this beautiful system, this beautiful hormonal system that we have called our endocrine system, it regulates the production of hormones, which are chemical messengers made by our bodies to tell our cells, glands, and organs to do what they do and when to do it. So it's not just the ovaries for women or the testes for men. This hormonal axis also includes the hypothalamus, the pituitary, the thyroid, the adrenals, the ovaries, the testes, the pancreas. The pancreas was, it's only, I think, in the last 15, 20 years that the pancreas was recognized as part of our endocrine system. So the blood sugar regulation also affects our hormones as well. And so with all of these things that we have going on, like there are a lot of ways that we can reduce toxins in our food. We can reduce toxins in our home. We can reduce toxins in what we put on in our skin, right? But when you add in Wi-Fi, you add in EMFs, you add in the bombardments of environmental toxins, it's really difficult for our bodies to overcome and stay in a state of homeostasis when it comes to our hormones. And listen, I have helped create a lot of protocols, a lot of hormone protocols over the years. I know when Cindy introduced me tonight, she said I had a whole lot of certifications. Yes, I do. I was a midwife, a childbirth educator, a doula. I was a natural family planning coach. So hormones is kind of like the name of my game. I've helped, like I said, create program systems, regimens for people to balance their hormones. And tonight I'm truly going to share something that is the easy button for hormones. I have not had anything this simple work so well. I have some people nodding their heads. Some people have used the former protocols that I've used, and it was like 7 to 10 steps, 7 to 10 products. It was crazy. And a little bit later, you're going to hear some testimonies from people who have seen their lives transformed from a couple products that I'm about to share. So first up is balance. That light is really bright. Oh, there it is. Boom. Balance. Okay. I literally am going to take a breath and I'm going to hold this bottle near and dear to my heart. August of last year, I was traveling. A couple of my friends who are on this call were with me. I texted my husband and I said, I think I might need emergency care. I was having the heaviest cycle that I can remember in my 25 years of cycling. It was horrific. It was truly the worst cycle I've had. And it had been 2 years leading up to that of really bad cycles. And later that month, I was introduced to this product and started taking it. 3 weeks later, started my first cycle after being on this product. And it was night and day different. I didn't have PMS. There was no sign of my period coming. It was the lightest cycle that I had had in years upon years upon years. I thought it was kind of a joke. Like, there's no way that this is real. And my last 6 cycles have been just like that. So when I talk about this product with a deep affection in my heart, as someone who has had PCOS and endometriosis, I don't say this lightly. This product has changed my life. So let's talk a little bit about it. Some of the key benefits of balance. It supports this endocrine system of ours. It's just whole system. So it literally helps with our brain health. It helps with the thyroid. It helps with the ovaries. It hits like every base. It also reduces symptoms of hormonally related issues with men and women. And I don't say that lightly. Like I've watched, like I just said, these symptoms significantly decrease. It helps support the production of HGH, the human growth hormone. I'm going to talk a little bit about that in a minute. It improves sexual function, which my husband will be talking about in a minute. So the main molecule found in balance is something called Diasgenin. Diasgenin is a sapogenin that helps the body to balance levels of testosterone, estrogen, and progesterone produced in the body. So our body converts Diasgenin to hormones through a process known as steroidogenesis. This involves the conversion of cholesterol into various types of hormones. And good news for those of us who maybe we've added a few extra pounds to our bodies, this happens in our fat cells. So it's good news if our bodies are converting the hormones properly, because our bodies will use the cholesterol, will use some of the fat to make that conversion. It's not such good news if our bodies are highly toxic. And this is why toxins affect hormonal imbalance so powerful, okay? So what Diasgenin does, though, is helps with the process begin in the adrenal glands, and it does so through several enzymes. One of the most important enzymes in this process is, okay, I'm going to make sure I get this right because I looked it up, is aromatase enzyme. The aromatase enzyme helps slow down the conversion of testosterone into estrogen. So things like toxicity and unhealthy diets that lead to estrogen dominance and low progesterone, Diasgenin comes in and helps support this process. It literally disrupts the conversion of testosterone to estrogen. And remember when I talked about that estrogen dominance? That is where our bodies get way out of whack because of toxicity, because of stress, because of all the things, okay? All right, so when our bodies are supported and this Diasgenin enters the scene and we're like, okay, we can make this conversion because the enzyme is helping with the process of testosterone to estrogen, we begin to see support for the body's defense functions in lots of other areas. So remember, this hormonal axis affects every part of our body. It's not just this isolated thing to the testes or the ovaries. I might say that a couple more times because I really want to hit that point home. Because yes, we have this amazing compound Diasgenin, but it's one piece to our health and wellness. It's one piece. Lifestyle still matters. Okay, so Diasgenin helps with the body in lots of ways. One of the ways is high blood pressure, helps to reduce high blood pressure, helps to balance blood sugar. It helps to balance or support bone density. So for those of us who are struggling with decreased bone density, the Diasgenin helps reduce hot flashes, night sweats. It helps with thinning hair. That's a big deal as we begin to age. Also helps with mood swings, helps to balance the adrenals, helps to increase the libido, and helps with menstrual problems. So Balance has a 16% Diasgenin, which is 33% higher than any other Diasgenin supplement currently on the market. So it's a super potent supplement, okay? All right, another ingredient in Balance is red sage. And you know what? I just realized, if y'all want to read, that's not the right link. Robin, would you mind grabbing the board link off of under Balance, that so people can literally read along with me, because I know some people are visual. Okay, let's talk about red sage. Red sage reduces night sweat, reduces menstrual problems, reduces acne. It improves skin elasticity, discoloration, and texture. So for those of you who are over the age of 35, how many of you have watched your skin texture change significantly? Like significantly, just like boom, overnight, right? The fact that red sage is in the supplement coupled with Diasgenin is huge. Red sage also improves microcirculation. I'm going to hit on that a little in a second. All right, next up is L-arginine. L-arginine helps fight inflammation, aids in the repair of blood vessels, improves blood flow. Now let's talk about blood flow, because I just talked about it with the red sage. I'm going to talk about it here. When you hear increases blood flow, Ladies, this matters for us. When we have increased blood flow to our sexual organs, it makes everything more pleasurable and more intense. The same thing for our guys. Okay, increased blood flow to male sex organs also helps them overcome erectile dysfunction, which is a big deal. Big deal, pun intended. Okay. L-arginine, I got a couple laughs from that, thanks, also helps with human growth hormone. And here, I said earlier that I was going to make sure to touch on this. There's a lot of research out there showing that we do not want to supplement human growth hormone. We don't want to take human growth hormone because of its increased risk of cancer. We want to produce our own. Okay, that's a super important detail. And that's exactly what L-arginine does for us. So super powerful for both men and women. Then we have L-lysine, which supports the production of protein to repair and promote cell growth throughout our body. It also supports the production of enzymes and hormones. So remember how I told you that our hormonal axis does not exist in isolation. It affects all parts of our body. Our gut health is one of them. So L-lysine helps support the production of enzymes, which also decreases as we age. It also helps reduce stress-induced anxiety and helps the body's formation of collagen, and all the ladies rejoice. There we go. You're gonna hear collagen a few more times throughout this talk. All right, then there's glycine, another ingredient in balance. Y'all, I'm telling you, this formula is so perfectly formulated because it helps balance the whole body. It's not just about let's support the testes or let's just support the ovaries. This is important for whole body systemic support. So glycine boosts mental performance and memory, improves nerve and neurotransmitter functions, improves and enhances mood, and improves sleep quality. All right, next up, last up in balance is beta sitosterol. It helps reduce symptoms of an enlarged prostate. So our formulator always likes to joke around about how most depends are, because men are like, why should I take balance? And he says, I'm butchering this, but he's like, essentially because most depends are sold to men, which is true. So this beta sitosterol is phenomenal for an enlarged prostate. It helps improve sexual function. It reduces symptoms of menopause, and it naturally lowers bad cholesterol. And then on top of it all, we have Acemanon. And so Acemanon is a powerful, powerful ingredient. All of Aloevea's products are formulated with Acemanon because it helps anything you pair it with become more effective. It helps drive it deeper into the cells. It helps make your body absorb it a whole lot better. I think Robin, yes, perfect. You can read, I mean, there are literally 20 major benefits of Acemanon. And Robin just posted a link in the chat. If you're watching the replay, we'll make sure to get it into the description of the replay. But Acemanon not only helps heal the lining of the gut, helps with the gut-brain barrier, it supports hormones, lowers inflammations, liver support. It does so many things. So it's kind of like the cherry on the top with balance. All right, I'm going to talk about one more product very, very quickly, because when I talked about the reason why people are in a sexless marriage and why we have imbalanced hormones, I mean, 2-3 things on those lists. It's either stress, depression, anxiety. We have to talk about emotions. We have to talk about mood when we're talking about hormonal imbalance, okay? So literally, like, I'm having it in my cup right now. I know several people are drinking the super amazing Fix. Fix literally is one of the best things to have ever happened to me. I am completely obsessed. So Fix has clinical studies done on it that shows that it reduces cortisol by 24%. It reduces total cholesterol by 7%, lowers inflammation by 36%, reduces overall measure of stress by 69.9%. Was waiting for my husband out there. I knew it. I can see my husband. Of course, he made the joke there. It reduces fatigue, lack of energy by 79%, irritability by 76%, sleeplessness by 67%. Y'all, it is huge. It reduces forgetfulness by 57%. When we are low on progesterone, when we have this estrogen dominance, low progesterone, brain fog is something most of us complain about. Forgetfulness. Clinical studies show that Fix helps with that. And of course, it has Acemanon in it. Again, go to Robin's link that she posted and read all about Acemanon. So 2 products, literally 2 products have radically changed our hormonal health. And when I say our, I'm putting my husband in the same camp with me. And now, you know, I'm already starting to turn red, because if y'all have not had an opportunity to chat with my husband, he is one of those guys who is just tell it like it is. He is not going to hold a whole lot back. And so honestly, I asked him to come on, even after saying all those things, because the transformation in my husband's sexual health has been night and day different in the last 6 months. I mean, night and day different. So babe, if you would unmute yourself, and the camera's on you, sweetheart.
Can you hear me? Cool. All right. I just want to be clear that I was asked to do this probably what was it, 4 or 5 days ago. And I was told, oh, it's going to be, you know, this elevator thing. Just tell your testimony. And then like probably 15 minutes before the call started, oh, by the way, you have to talk about your wiener. And so now here we are. So just so everybody knows, we're going to have a discussion about that topic right now, a little bit. So if you know anything about me, anything about my testimony, anything about what I've gone through, my number 1 problem has been histamine intolerance. Now, that doesn't sound like much, but it's a life wrecker. If you have histamine intolerance, it's not easy, it's not simple, and it has been completely just flying blind because it's also a new diagnosis, so we didn't exactly know what was going on. But that wrecked my hormonal system. It wrecked my sexual function. You know, and the truth is, if you would have read to me the list of symptoms for low testosterone, I wouldn't have told you like, oh yeah, I have a serious problem with that, because it wasn't a serious problem yet, but it was a problem. And I didn't know it was a problem until I was healed. And then it was like, oh, wow, this is better. This is way better than what it used to be like in so many ways. And so just like to reiterate what Niccole mentioned, some of the symptoms are low sex drive. I mean, that's just obvious. Problems having an erection. That was never an issue. Like I said, I mean, I never would have said, oh, I have a problem with getting an erection. But when it's different, you realize, wow, I did have a problem having an erection. Low sperm count. I went 6 years. Niccole and I went without using any protection whatsoever, because we never thought we needed it. And until just by some weird chance, we got pregnant with our last baby. But we had just given up on using any form of protection just because I didn't realize, or I didn't think it was going to be an issue. But now I wouldn't dream of doing that because I do not want a 6th child. So sleep problems, that's just obvious for me. I've had serious insomnia for years, but it was a confluence of issues. I was experiencing that 100%. Decreased muscle size, 100% was experiencing that. Niccole most certainly made fun of my arms on several occasions because she is mean. Bone loss, I don't know if I've had any bone loss. I'll report back to you if I find out if I did. Increased body fat, 100%. That was absolutely happening. And depression. I was severely depressed. And again, this is a confluence of issues. It's not just simply the low testosterone, but as Niccole mentioned, you get to a point of low testosterone from a variety of factors. If you have environmental toxins that you're constantly exposed to, you could take all the supplements you want for your hormones. You need to do something about the environmental toxins that you're being exposed to. If you have trauma that you're not dealing with, you could take, all the hormonal stuff that you want. It can make a difference, but you're not going to get the best bang for your buck if you don't deal with your whole body. And that right there, I think, is the real key element. And when you get to any one of these discussions, and we're talking about dudes, it doesn't make any sense to me how dudes don't want to talk about it. They don't want to admit it. They don't want to, address the issue. And it doesn't make any sense, because the joke is obviously, oh, men think about sex on a minute-to-minute basis. It's the only thing they think about. Yeah, well, you have to be able to do it, and you have to be able to enjoy it. And you should probably focus on making it enjoyable for the other person too. And so if that's all the case, if we're really into it that much, then let's focus on what's going to make us better at the craft of sex, if you wanted to put it that way. And so getting your temple good to go. And it's not only about sexual function. Sexual function is icing on the cake, really. There's so much more to just being a man that absolutely requires testosterone. And the feeling that I've had, it was literally, Niccole handed me some products and was like, here, just try these. And I just trust her. So she said, I said, what's this for? Oh, it's for hormones. And this one's for immune system. And this, take these. I literally just finished my fix. I have one every single day. It's a fantastic post-workout, by the way, if you're interested in anything like that. But anyway, I started taking it because she told me to. And I didn't know what was doing what. But the more that we've drilled down, even in the last week, the more that we've looked at the ingredients of balance, the more that we've explored, it's not just for your hormones. It is an incredible product. And we had no idea that it had such a serious effect on my histamine intolerance, which is something Niccole can speak to a lot more than I can. She understands all the science. But we had no idea that these products, which one is the main one? I'm sorry. Go ahead and chime in, Niccole.
Balance? Are you talking about balance?
Yeah, was it the Diasgen that?
Yeah, it was the Diasgen. Yeah.
Yeah. And it helps to basically it helps your body consume histamine, which helps your body. Translation is, it helps your body fight off autoimmune disorders. It can help your body support itself against these autoimmune responses that you're getting, which we all have them. Some of them are more severe than others because of the amount of environmental toxins that we're exposed to on a daily basis. So taking something that can help you support your hormone system, which is absolutely vital, and that helps you consume environmental toxins at the same time, it's a no-brainer. It literally is a no-brainer. I feel like everybody needs to be on this product. I can't speak more highly of products in general than Aloe. I was at a lunch today, a business meeting, had nothing to do with anything regarding network marketing. I'm in Fresno, California. It's absolutely beautiful. I'm sorry, I'm lying. It's terrible, but I'm here because I'm doing trucking work, but I'm talking about Aloe products because they're so good. I'm talking to it with other customers for my trucking business. I'm sitting here talking about Aloe because I'm so stoked on it. It's just awesome stuff. And I really don't have much else to say unless there's any particular questions.
I accidentally muted them. And just sorry, y'all. Babe, thank you so much for sharing. I don't know about y'all, but I feel like our new code word is going to be crafting, because Brandon was like, hey, it's a craft. Sorry, kids, we're crafting tonight. Couple things that Brandon brought up, autoimmunities, Hashimoto's. If you've not watched my video on immune balancing, if you have not watched my video on how TH1, TH2 works, progesterone is one of the biggest ways to help balance the immune system and bring yourself out of an autoimmune condition. And Diasgen is the precursor to progesterone. So Brandon touched on that. Thank you so much, babe, for that. And then I'm just going to go ahead and say this because I mean, we've been married almost 20 years. And just one of the points of this conversation tonight is just to be like real, transparent, honest. The way that our sex life has transformed is a little shocking. It's a little shocking. I think Brandon just unmuted himself. Are you going to chime in here, babe? I mean, I'm just
I was just waiting to see what you were going to say. I can't wait to see what comes out of your mouth next. Okay. How is it better, Niccole? Tell everybody. I think what Niccole is trying to say is I'm performing much better in the bedroom. And I mean, I'm not ashamed to say it. I mean, I was really, really sick, and not being really sick was the baseline. And when I was not sick, I thought, wow, this is fantastic. I can't imagine. Now, forget not being sick. I'm feeling incredible. I feel better than I have my entire life. And I'm just going to keep trying to push this as far as I can go. And in the bedroom, like, it's just, let me just put it this way. Balance, if you take balance, you make two people smile every time.
There you go. There you go. So just putting it out there, it's lasting a lot longer, y'all. It is. That is really the most impressive thing. And yes, Brandon was sick, but one of the things with histamine intolerance is hormonal imbalance. You don't have to be sick to have balance work really well. Like literally 25% of men under the age of 30 have low testosterone. Every decade you go up, the percentage goes up 15%. So 35% in your 30s. 50% in your 40s. By the time a man hits 50, 65% of men 50 and older have a hard time with sex. And then for balance, for me, y'all, my sex drive is through the roof, like absolutely through the roof. I'll speak on behalf of myself here. Ladies, this video is totally going to be unlisted on YouTube, so ask me for the replay, okay? It's like the pleasure is way more intense. I mean, it has been absolutely remarkable because when I was talking about the increased blood flow to the sex organs, that's what balance is doing. It is increasing blood flow. It's increasing lubrication. It's increasing all of the fantastic parts that we all enjoy during intimacy. Robin, on that note, why don't you chime in?
Let's talk about vaginal dryness, shall we? So for those of us who have been menopausal, vaginal dryness is legit. It is something that just completely took me off guard because I was using, I think, 7 or 8 between essential oils and supplements that were targeted towards hormone support. And I was doing that for several years. And I was so proud of myself because I'm like, I'm doing this holistically. So when menopause hit, I wasn't having the huge night sweats and hot flashes and everything. But the vaginal dryness and libido tanked was legit. And so that was 3 years ago. And my husband and I he was doing research online of, ways to help with vaginal dryness, it holistic, because I did not want to go on anything synthetic. And it kind of got to the point that we were like, okay, this is just going to be how it is, because I'm doing all natural stuff. I'm doing it all. And so when we joined Alivea, we got our products on a Friday. We stopped taking all of those other products. And the next day we started only Alivea. And balance was one of those. And my husband also takes balance because he was concerned about, I was supporting my prostate. Now, what am I going to take? So now he has that. And so really, like, I did not feel like I felt great. I mean, I felt good, energy, everything was good, but I did not feel like this. I'm trying to figure out how to say it. I didn't feel like a magical gush or anything. Okay. And so, but in a couple of months later, I don't know how to say that. A couple of months later, we all of a sudden I just realized we weren't using any lubricant at all. And it did not hurt, because during those almost 2.5 years, it was extremely painful. We were doing so much lubricant that then it made it difficult for my husband because there was so much lubricant. And it was just very painful. So of course I didn't want to have sex. And so I was just shocked. We were both shocked because libido was back and moisture was back. And so I don't have to use lubricant for the first time in 3 years. And so it is legit. And so I just recommend, and I've heard many, many other stories of women who also have experienced the same thing, that they went from severe vaginal dryness to they're not struggling anymore. So that is my perspective from somebody who's gone through the menopause.
Thank you so much for sharing, Robin. I know that this conversation, it can be difficult. And I'm like, I can have this conversation like one-on-one with people, but it's a conversation that needs to be had. It's a conversation that we need to take some of like the stigma away from our, some of the fear and the anxiety, like away from having this conversation, because literally, 47% of marriages are struggling at some level with intimacy. And I mean, that literally means there's 20 of us on the call, 10 of us know this struggle like all too well. And honestly, if you're here, you probably, we might just be 100% of us on this particular call, right? So anyway, I just appreciate you sharing, because a lot of times people won't speak up and say, this is what I'm struggling with. This is, the struggle in our marriage. This is the struggle in our intimate life. But they'll listen to somebody else say it. And so it takes away that shame. It takes away like the lies that we believe about what's normal and what's not normal. So I just really, 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 really appreciate you sharing. We're going to open up the call when I hit stop record in a second. But for now, does anybody else have a story they want to share about balance before I stop the recording? 3, 2, 1. Okay. Awesome. Thank you all so much for joining in on this convo, talking about his and her hormones. Again, because of what we are up against in our modern day society, it is often, if it's not you, then it's your spouse that is struggling. I mean, it is a 50-50 chance, right? And so any way that we can help and make that help a little bit easier is huge. I said it while I was sharing. My husband said it while he was sharing. I, of course, am a huge advocate of looking at the whole lifestyle, looking at the diet, looking at managing stress, exercise, of course, good sleep, right? But just over and over and over again, we are hearing stories about how balance is helping with the whole endocrine system, how Fix is helping to reduce stress. Two products that are changing people's lives. This is a drastic difference from where I was. I mean, like I said in the beginning of the call, anywhere from 7 to 12 products to balance my hormones used to be my norm. And not anymore. And so I hope that this brings you hope. I hope this brings you some encouragement. If you need some more resources on lifestyle, on how to eat healthy, on toxins to eliminate, please reach out to whoever invited you to this call. They have access to some folders that are loaded full of really valuable information that will empower you, that will equip you, and will give you hope on how to move forward. So thank you so much for being here, for giving of your time. And we will be back next Thursday. We will be talking about gut health and the gut-brain barrier. So I hope you join us.